Away We Go is about a couple who want to escape and can, and whose love deepens during the course of the movie, and who end up okay. You know, one of them's not dead at the end, in other words, which by standards of my movies constitutes a happy ending. So yes, that's the direct parallel, the obvious parallel. But I noticed certain things when I was shooting Away We Go, that there are other weird minor parallels that I pointed out to you earlier, which is that Away We Go also features a scene where they pull the car over to the side of the road at the beginning of the movie, and they have a sort of minor domestic disagreement, and they make up. But in Revolutionary Road, to set up your first clip, they pull over to the side of the road, and they don't make up really. It's sort of the beginning of the end, you know. There are other little parallels all the way through. And in a way, I made Away We Go partly as a reaction to living with Revolutionary Road. And when I say living with it, I mean living with it for a year and a half, because of course my wife was also in it. And so it was like living under a black cloud for a year and a half, because it's a dark, dark and bleak story. And so when I read Away We Go, it seemed like an answer to the earlier movie, of how it's possible to be together, how it's possible to have that, maintain that private language that you have as a couple, to live some sort of a happy life together. You know?
It did feel that the central thing with The Way We Go is that there's an optimism about the couple's relationship. I mean, you talked about it and said that it's actually about a couple together looking out at the world, as opposed to a couple together looking in and virtually strangling each other. Do you think that, are you going through a point in your life where you're just feeling more positive about
Dr. Freud, let me answer that question. The weird thing is, I've always felt fairly positive. I think as a person, I'm an optimistic type, but I'm drawn to telling stories. I think I'm going backwards in my own life towards, you know, issues and problems that I lived through as a child, and I'm drawn to that area. That's what I was drawn to in the early part of my film career, such as it is. But my personality, and I was often asked during the dark years of my other movies, you know, why you make these depressing films, and because you're not, you know, by nature a dark personality. And I suppose I feel like this, you know, it took me a while to realise that all my films constituted something fairly dark. But this is how I felt for a long time. You know, it's not recent, but there is a big thing that happened to me, you know, which is to get married and to have children, and that definitely has meant that I've now started reading scripts like Away We Go through and seeing them through the eyes of a parent rather than through the eyes of a child. And I think if there's one big difference between the movies that I made at the beginning of my movie career, i.e. American Beauty, Road to Perdition, they looked at the central prism that you look through in the movie is the child, and now it's the parent. And I think that's the difference. I mean, I very much, even though American Beauty is voiced over by Kevin Spacey's character, I always felt that the moral centre of the film was the kids, the three kids, or the two of them actually, Thora Birch and Wes Bentley. And certainly in Road to Perdition, the boy is my way into the film.
The one who has the chance of seeing heaven.
Yeah, exactly. The only one left alive at the end.
So just a last thing about Away We Go. I mean, I think that there's an affection for those characters, which I think is a sort of a new development. And it also felt to me as if your filmmaking style was more intimate. I mean, you felt it's very close into the characters. It's not so much to do with composing the look of the overall shot as to being close. Did you feel that it was a development or an evolution or a different way of working from the way that you've worked in the past?
Yeah, I did. I think that's well said. I think that I was trying to do that. I didn't overthink, overcompose, pre-plan too much of the movie. I wanted to keep it loose. I felt that what's happened in the past is that I've done a movie and then a play, or taken time off, and it's been 2 or 3 years between each movie. And this one I made almost immediately after Revolutionary Road. And what happens then is you get into a kind of groove, you know. You don't have to restart the engine again. It's sort of, it's already running in second gear. So I was able to be much more instinctive in this. And I decided to not obsess about visual details, which frankly I have done in the past, obsessed endlessly about tiny visual detail. I mean, I'll spend hours, you know, moving you know, items around on the wall behind the central character, even though that it's out of focus, you know, or adjusting the light from a window, or making sure the key light is perfect in someone's eyes. And I decided to abandon all that and to throw caution to the wind, which by my standards means, you know, shooting a movie in 40 days rather than, you know, in the case of, this is by far the shortest shoot, where we go, of anything I've done. And working on a smaller budget was good in that respect because, you know, I was given a huge amount of respect by Focus Features who made the movie. I mean, it's fair to say that I've never had to cast anyone in any of my movies that I didn't want to cast. But I've never been told by a studio before, cast whoever you want. And given that sort of freedom by a studio and that kind of trust, and if you look at their slate this year, you'll see Ang Lee's movie, Taking Woodstock, no stars. The Coen Brothers movie, I can't remember what it's called, A Suitable Boy, I think it's called. Serious Man, thank you. Thank you for the focus guide for that. No stars, and it's really a genuinely filmmaker-friendly environment, you know. But when you're given that kind of respect, that kind of trust by a studio, you tend to reciprocate that, you know. You think, okay, then it's my duty to come in on schedule and come in under budget and to do everything I can to make this movie work within the parameters that have been set. And I felt that really helped in a weird way because I had to move fast, I had to be economical with my choices. And I think that it benefited the film in a way. I think there's some warmth, looseness, kind of softness around the edges that actually helps the, hopefully, warmth and the softness in the movie.
And did you feel that there would be any difference in the audience for it? Because I felt watching it that one of the reasons that I warmed to it is, as a parent, there are things in it that I recognise. And I was wondering, as I was watching it, if you didn't have kids, would that make sense? Would it touch you in the same way?
I don't know, it seems to be. I mean, having experienced, you know, screenings and exit polls and all this stuff that you go through, that actually the young audiences have been drawn to it just as much as those of the parents. I think the people who lack patience with the movie are people who are beyond that point and think, oh, come on, pull yourselves together, you know. You should have worked out your lives by now. You're 36 years old, and you know, whatever it is, you know. So there's a little bit of that sort of testiness amongst the older generation of the movie. But you know, it's in a way was, you know, one of the things that struck me when I read the script was that it's a kind of it's a generational thing. I mean, you could say the Revolutionary Road, their problems stem from the fact that in the 50s you made those big decisions in life, went to have kids, you know, went to move out and have a garden for your kids, or all that sort of stuff in your early 20s.
Yeah.
And now, myself and my generation, my friends, made those decisions in their mid-30s, you know, and that is one of the things the movie discusses, and that they've had time to discover who they are, you know, and their relationship is fully formed, Bert and Verona, before they have a child. The problems stem, in Frank and April's case in Revolutionary Road, from the fact that they've had those decisions taken away from them in a way by this sort of societal pressure to have kids and settle down and move to the suburbs early in life, you know, which is a very 50s phenomenon. So I think that you could say it's a reflection of its period as well, you know, Generation Y issue of, well, people waiting very, very late, sometimes too late, in the case of the couple in Away We Go who've had miscarriages, sometimes too late to make those big decisions. And, you know, a lot of my friends have had that problem too, you know, tried to have a family too late. And, you know, I think I have more friends who've had IVF and fertility treatments that have had natural births, you know, because it comes very late now, those decisions. And so I felt that was a really interesting reflection of the way things have changed.
Okay, well, let's have a look at a scene from Revolutionary Road, which is the roadside argument that you were talking about before. Do you want to say anything to set it up before the audience see it?
It's just like a night out at the movies with my wife, really.
Go.
Sweetheart, let's talk about this.